Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House for the 2023 season. Plenty to talk about this week, Kev. It is the time the world champions will return to the Totally Wicked Stadium with trophies in tow, and it's looking like it could be a sellout, at least in the home ends.
Yeah, it's great to see fans getting behind the lads, packing out the stadium as much as they can. I think it's only right that that's happening, and good on people for getting down to the Totally Wicked on Friday.
Yeah, obviously, Eamon McManus was talking last week, and he was saying that basically we broke even from the trip to Australia on the World Club Challenge, but obviously we used it for a couple of weeks warm weather training to compete against the best. Well, that's us, but compete against second best and one of the other NRL sides. But obviously, when it's over here, we make money or slight profits from hosting the World Club Challenge. So I think hopefully, given the success of the club, we can try and reap the benefits throughout 2023, and the crowds will flock to watch the world champions.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I'd hope there's some kind of slow build of the benefits of winning the World Club Challenge, because you think sponsorship deals, fans just coming through the gates, all should add up, really. The stature, just getting more eyes on the game, more eyes on the club. Hopefully it's done a good thing for Super League as well across the board. I see fans saying it. And I know with IMG coming on board that they're going to obviously harness any momentum that the results had. But yeah, from a purely selfish point of view, hopefully Saints can reap them benefits. I'm sure they will. But it'd be nice to make sure that any positive we can take from it, we kind of glean every little bit out of it, whether that is younger season ticket holders coming in, and being able to, and I know the world's not a great place at the minute, but being able to kind of put the money in and commit the money as a season ticket holder, even just people getting down to an extra game, would be tremendous, or buying a little bit of merchandise. Companies coming in and wanting to be in the corporate bit, companies wanting to appear on the shirt, anything like that would be great.
Yeah. And with the sold out signs going up in the home ends, it becomes an event where if you miss it, you miss out. And it needs to be the hottest ticket in town. Now the club are going all out on Friday night. Pyrotechnics, the biggest flames we've ever seen at the Totally Wicked Stadium, apart from the heels of Regan Grace. A live light show ahead of the game, and an electric performance by the alternate rock band Riverstone. Now, they are going to be on the West Stand platform. Given that the East Stand is going to be 3/4 empty, I would have put them in there.
We've got the platform, though, in the West, haven't we?
Yeah. It's disappointing to hear that Leeds have only sold 300 tickets so far. We're going to get onto that in a minute. But the big news for the week, Kev, this man. He can't stay out of the news, can he? Upsetting people all over the show.
Yeah. He is, isn't he?
But the high tackle, I didn't think it was a penalty try at the time in the stadium. I still don't think it was now, given that we had Conrad and coming over and Johnny Lomax to cover. But listen, the cast player stepped him. He's coming across at pace. He's reached, he's grabbed. Yes, it's high, but that's the right decision. I don't want to see star players in Super League, whether they play for Saints, Leeds, Wigan, Warrington, anyone, being banned for things like that. Listen, it's the way the sport is. High tackles are going to happen at times. It's not malicious. Why would you want your best players in the league sat in the stands?
Yeah, that's it. Listen, if we talk about like bad high tackles, well, any contact with the head, really, you have a look at our cousins over in rugby union and they don't allow it at all, maybe we'll end up going that way. But as you say, it's a careless one. You see people pitchforks and torches out, wanting to hunt down the match review panel and Jack Wellsby. I'm not thinking that this is the way that they're going now. They're going with the more lenient, way of not banning players and fining them if it so happens that should be the way to do it. As you say, I'm not necessarily convinced that it was as bad as people are making out. Yeah, I'm watching it with my Saints glasses on, but I don't think it's as bad. Listen, Mr. Moore made a decision that he thought that he'd have scored the try and it was a penalty try. Okay, we want referees making decisions. I'm all right with that. Fair enough. But it just makes me laugh that we could have something like that, and it could be Bevan French, it could be Stefan Ratchford, it could be Jake Connor doing exactly the same, getting exactly the same ban. We've got to kind of realise that that's what they're going to do. They're not going to ban him. Sorry, they're not going to throw a game or two at him. They'll throw a fine if they think it's worthy of it, or they'll turn around and say, you know what, it's just careless. He's reaching. It's in desperation, and it's careless. But yeah, I think you're always going to get the empty vessels making the most noise, though, on Twitter when you see the people coming in with these mad opinions. When, you know what, if it was one of them players or any other player in Super League playing for their team and they got off with it, I'm sure they'd take that. Yeah,
I'm actually glad that the bans are simmering down a little bit. I think last season they were way over the top across the board. Mm-hmm. In a salary cap sport, you just can't afford to have half your salary cap sat in the stands every week. It's madness. But there we go.
I think just as a point there, I don't think as a sport we can afford to have our best players sat in the stands. Yeah, I think we're a minority sport anyway. And I don't get the people might say, no, we're not. We're a minority sport anyway. We need our best players on the pitch at all times. Listen, if there's an indiscretion which deserves it, fair enough, they get banned, they sit down for a couple of weeks. But as you say, some of them last year, and this isn't going just for Saints players, some of them last year were ludicrous. Players shouldn't be sat in stands when they don't need to be.
Yeah. Marketing campaign for Friday night's tie, Sparks Will Fly. West Ham sold out. I believe there's less than 500 tickets left in the North and the South stands. So we don't want a situation on Friday when it's like Good Friday and people are scrambling for tickets. The club have said there is no pay turnstiles, and it's going to be busy on the night for people picking up tickets and season tickets. So if you can get a chance, get down to the Totally Wicked before Friday night and get yourself a ticket. Glad to see, Kev, the club have gone and done a little bit different and gone for the first TV marketing campaign. And we can take a look at the video now. There we go, Kev. That video produced by Emporium Marketing from Rainford, a family who I've worked with the club previously. And I was glad to see that advert popping up on TV a couple of times during the week. It's a little bit different, but you know what? It shows the action. It shows the excitement. It makes the game look big.
It's an advert for rugby league with rugby league in it. And that's what you want. You're selling what's going on the pitch. You can all turn around and say, yeah, there's a band on as well. There's light display, pyrotechnics, whatever. But crux of the matter is you're selling what's on the pitch. I like that video. I think it's great, a great idea. I think it's forward thinking. I think it's well done as well. But they're selling the game, aren't they? They're showing little bits of action that sells the actual sport and the game itself. Yeah, good on Saints. And was it Emporium, did you say?
Emporium Marketing from Rainford.
Good on Emporium Marketing as well for being involved with the club and getting something like that put together that looks so good. And yeah, listen, hopefully we'll see a couple more of them coming through as the season goes on that will push games that, even pushing games that might not sell out. So your games where, and listen, away fans aren't the be all and end all, but where you don't get as many following, so that East stand could be open just to Saints fans. If there's something like that and it's building up the anticipation before the game happens, tremendous.
Yeah. Saints fans have been tremendous. A couple of thousand at Castleford, selling out the home ends tomorrow. But a disappointment, Kev, as I mentioned earlier, is Leeds. They've apparently only sold 300 tickets. I had a quick look on their website today. You can't buy tickets online from Leeds if you're a Leeds fan. You can only buy them in person from the ticket office. No phone number. It's a little bit poor all round, isn't it?
It's disappointing, isn't it? Yeah, it's almost like it's bad timing that to be doing your maintenance until 10 a.m. on Friday of a game, an away game. As I say, away fans aren't the be all and end all, but listen, I'm sure some of our fans who I've seen on Twitter aren't happy with how the season tickets have been sent out. I believe people have started receiving them. So hopefully that'll all be ironed out. It's just a disappointing timing when they could have done this on other days that don't affect such a big game that really should be enjoyed by two sets of fans who have a good history in Super League against each other.
Yeah. Listen, we took pictures of the Leeds end last season. Leeds fans don't need an excuse not to turn up, but you've given them one anyway. But it's true. They didn't bring many last season. The 300 this year will probably be about the same. But you've made it easy for people to go, do you know what? I'll just watch it on the telly. We're going to get battered by the champions anyway. I'm working during the week. I've not got chance to traipse across the city of Leeds to go up to a stadium to buy a ticket in person, so I'll just miss it. You've made it easy. I would have liked to have seen Saints, if possible, to do a cash turnstile, not only for the extra 50 Leeds fans who might turn up, but potentially for home fans who want to go on Friday night but don't necessarily maybe want to sit down and would have liked to have gone on the terrace, and we could have had Saints fans all round. There may well be reasons behind that. It may well be a decision that's reviewed before Friday for a late walk-up. But yeah, it's a little bit disappointing.
That might be, as you say, a stewarding issue. It might just be segregation that they don't necessarily want a mix of fans or too much of a mix of fans in that side.
Possibly you'd need policing.
Yeah, maybe it's something that if we've got a section that isn't season ticket holder sit downs, that we start opening that up.
I suggested it on. I suggested it on Twitter this morning, Kev. When we play the likes of Catalans, Wakefield, Leeds, who don't bring followings, put them in the block in the corner, and open it, or use that stand for community. So something different.
It's on us to sell our stadium out. So if there's a way of getting fans in that East stand, and obviously they're not going to be there for a Wigan game or probably Warrington as well. But or even when Salford came over in the playoffs, if they're going to bring a following like that again, then tremendous, because you can turn around and say, well, we're not going to open it up to Saints fans. It's on us to fill our stadium. If we can do that by moving away fans to sit down somewhere else, and get a good following in that East Stand. That would be brilliant. It just remains to be seen if we can do that.
Okay, Kev. On to the squads. Saints making one change to the 21-man squad, with Tommy Makinson coming in and Lewis Baxter dropping out. Paul Wellens has said today that a final decision on the likes of Mark Percival's fitness will be made after the training session on Thursday. He has revealed that Tommy Makinson will obviously come straight back in.
Yeah.
And the other wing spot is essentially a bit of a coin toss, we think, between John Bennison and T. Ritson. Who do you think we will go with?
John Bennison. I've got a feeling Percy, they might just give him the week off if Tommy's coming back in. Could well be Wellesby, Tommy, Conrad, Ben Davis possibly at centre if Percy doesn't make it, and John Bennison. I think John Bennison, because he's got that Super League experience, and against Castleford, I thought he was very good. I thought defensively he was sound. I think that could be the way that they'll go.
Yeah, maybe is John Bennison this week, T. Ritson the next against Lee.
Yeah, and that's it. You don't want to overload John with a load of games. Listen, I know he had 2 last year, but you don't want to completely overload the lad. You want to turn around and be able to make sure his development and progress is done in the right way. But also, we need to have a look at T. Ritson because he's on a loan deal and we need to decide whether he's going to be at the club next season. And you already need to start planning for that.
Yeah. Now, for me, if Curtis Sirenen's fit, he comes straight back in. Yeah. 3 to miss out are George Delaney.
Yeah.
Sam Royal.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, it's a toss-up between John Bennison and T. Ritson. Depends on who gets the nod in the winger shirt.
And depends on if Matt Percival is fit
Absolutely,
or not.
Yeah. If Mark isn't fit, I'd put Ben Davis straight in as a like-for-like, essentially.
I would. And then you're looking at, listen, George Delaney's been going really well at Swinton. So he might start knocking on the door of this team, and it might be in the next couple of weeks we do actually see George in. Whether this one's a little bit too soon for him in the season, I don't know. And they might just go with what they did last week against Cass, pretty much.
If T. Ritson does play, any issues?
No, that's it. You'd imagine, would he swap sides? Put him on the left next to Percy or Ben Davis?
I seen someone saying this week that most of his work at Barrow was on the left anyway.
Well, if he comes in, you'd imagine Tommy will stick to out on the right, where he's played the majority of his career. And maybe if it is Percy, especially with T. Ritson, it might help him with his defensive duties as well. Percy obviously has kind of he's reinvented himself from a quick, good-handed centre to adding big running as well in there. But it looks like Percy's getting a little bit of confidence back and would be able to release T. Ritson. If the chance came, if a winger jammed in on him defensively, he'd just be able to flick it out the back and go. So yeah, I think with a centre like Mark Percival, who's probably, well, not probably, I'd say he's better defensively than Conrad, that might help T a little bit more.
Yeah. James Roby still missing this week, as is Ignatius Parsi. Robes may miss a couple of weeks, we're told. But good to see Lussick getting back-to-back games.
Yeah, he needs it. We said this, how it's a big year for him. He needs it because, listen, I'm a little bit surprised not to see Taylor Pemberton in and about there. I don't know whether he'll go out and play for whether it be Swinton or North Wales, as he's been on loan a couple of times over there. So I'm surprised to see him not in and about, because I don't want to see Morgan Knowles or Jake Winfield playing at 9. I want to see an actual hooker playing there. I want to see Jake Winfield in his best position, which is back row. I want to see Morgan Knowles at 13. I don't want to see us trying to drop in a player there just because we can, because they can play there for 10 minutes. Because you don't want Joey Lustig going down after 5 minutes and you've got a makeshift 9 going in. That doesn't quite work for me. Joey getting the minutes now, though, while Roby isn't there, is perfect for him. And it's his chance to turn around and go, right, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do. Sorry, this is where I need to kind of push myself forward, be good in defence, be good in attack, and show why he should be the next number 9 for the next couple of years.
George Delaney, obviously in the squad. I've said he'll miss out. I think, is it just a little bit too early just to be chopping and changing? And if he is pushing Dan Norman for that bench spot, do you give Dan Norman another go this week? Obviously, he's got to gain some match fitness to see how he goes.
Yeah, I said it in the instant fan reaction. Minutes are better than anything. You can be as fit as you like, but match sharpness is something else. So yeah, possibly a week early for George. And I think Dan Norman getting more minutes on the bench and kind of getting a little bit more match sharp is probably the way that we'll go.
I do think he's got to do more though, Kev.
Yeah, he needs it. He needs it. No, that's it. As I say, the match sharpness is what players need. They need a bit of a run, because you can't just keep dipping somebody in 1 week and then taking them out for 3 and then putting them back in and expecting levels of performance just to be completely there all the time. You get that from your proper stars, and that's no offence to them. Normally he's come from the Championship to come up. We wouldn't have expected that from Alex Walmsley when he came up from the Championship, but Alex is a different beast. Now you expect him to, if he misses 3 weeks, you know he's going to come back in and put a good showing. Dan Norman needs that time, needs that kind of run to get some match sharpness and to show us what he can do, because this is the last year of his contract.
Yeah, just before we flip to the Leeds squad, has Tommy been airbrushed on that picture?
No, he's just a good-looking man.
Leeds haven't got any good-looking men, so they don't put any on the photograph. Rowan Smith named... Rowan Smith's named his 21-man squad. Morgan Gannon drops out, going through the head protocol. Leon Ruin and Louis Roberts are also not included, but Liam Tyndall, who scored a try whilst on dual reg at Bradford. Mr. Simfield and a former Saint, James Bentley, is added to the squad. Now, I believe, Kev, James Bentley is gutted that the disciplinary isn't issuing bans as much this season. Because if they start fining people, there's a good chance he's going to fall below minimum wage.
Yeah. Could you see him playing in the centres possibly for them? Are they struggling with centres though? I think Ash Handley and David Fussy Tour have both played centre for him this season. I'm not entirely sure that's either of the best positions.
Are you surprised how Leeds have started the year?
Yes. Yeah. I thought they'd have been a lot better than they have been. Getting blown away by Warrington in that first week, I thought, after coming so close last time and getting to the grand final, I thought they'd have hit the ground running. So it is a surprise. Listen, the dual performance, but it's been a poor start from them, I'd say. Yeah,
it's 2018 since the Rhinos last defeated Saints. Saints have won the last 12 in all competitions between the two. We'll be hoping it's not an unlucky 13 for us. But that Leeds squad on paper, Kev, looks a lot stronger than it has done in recent years.
It does, yeah. That's it. I mean, even going down to Jackson Sinfield, we saw him in the Academy Grand Final last year, didn't we? And he looked he looked the part. I know, listen, it's a big step up from the academy to first team. But that's it. They've got some promising players in there. They seem to kind of be rebuilding. I think in a similar vein to how Warrington have, and bringing in the likes of Neil McDonald's helps them. Are they quite there yet? Are they a team that you look through and you think, you know what, if they get a couple of injuries, they've got some properly good players to come in? I'm not entirely sure. I think they may well still finish top 4, but they're probably just a couple of players off being someone who's challenging for that first spot.
Yeah. Predictions then, Kev?
Saints by 14.
I'll go Saints by 22. Lastly, before we finish, Kev, last bit of news for the week. Magic weekend at Newcastle. Saints will kick off at 2:15 p.m, which allows us all to get away from the stadium while Hull and Warrington play out a draw. And we can all get home a bit earlier, ready for work on the Monday.
Yeah.
What being honest. We are going to get away, aren't we?
Yeah, it's what we'll do, definitely. We've done it the past couple of years, haven't we? Let the next game kick off. Let everybody get in the stadium and a couple of people get away from it, then jump in the car and come home. Yeah, listen.
We love rugby league, we do.
You do. It's the last Magic as well, isn't it? Or apparently going to be the last Magic. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what? Listen, I like Magic.
Yeah, I don't mind Magic. I think I'm not.
I don't watch anybody but Saints, but
I don't know what the aim is for Magic though. At the minute, I don't know what it is. Is it a money making thing? Is it to spread the sport? No. And I think that's the problem. Now it's gone to being, it's a big event in the calendar, and it's taken away from the Challenge Cup final and the Grand Final. You need to make sure that you're looking after your proper events where people win trophies.
Saints win trophies. No one else does. God, we're obnoxious.
You are.
Right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you for the instant fan reaction on Friday night. See you soon.